I'm waving through a window that I've seen 10 times before. Where's the show that offers more? 2, 3, 4. Give me a little new music. How about a little new music? Too much time with the news has got me feeling news sick. Let's try a little new music.
This is the first time I'm premiering Mansplaining, my song from Glass Ceilings. A Little New Music is such a wonderful place to premiere a new musical theater.
I think it's great to introduce, my stuff to a new audience and also be part of a community that both values new musical theater and also supports it.
I had a song and a concert, and it felt like a really safe audience that really was in tune with what I was trying to say.
I came from the Bronx to come sing here. I'm singing Dance Floor. It's a new song from the Broadway show Talk to Me.
The song I get to perform tonight is called The Only Straight Boy in the Room, which really spoke to me.
I am singing a new song, Carner and Gregor's song called Fractured Fairy Tale. It's really exciting because we get to put our spin on it, and you're really a part of that process too, of bringing a show to reality.
Best talent in town, the best writers around the globe. It's not a casual cabaret, it's a highly produced concert.
This is my first time seeing A Little New Music. It gives you a little taste of what's new and what's to come, and it just makes me excited because I want to see every single show now.
I really think people need to come and experience hearing songs that had not been performed before. There's something incredible about hearing it for the first time.
Ballads, up-tempos, jazzy tunes, old school Broadway type of songs. Sometimes like the next Sondheim shows up, and you get to be a part of that.
Let's try a little new music. Come on, guys. Let's try a little new music. A little new music, that's the name of the show.
Hello, good evening. Welcome everybody to A Little New Music Spotlight Series. My name is Keela. I'm one of our volunteer producers here. So A Little New Music, it's been said, is the little show that could. We started it over 8 years ago now, and we featured over 150 writers and writing teams. But here tonight on our 8th Spotlight Series, we highlight one writer at a time. But tonight, you get two.
That's right, Keela. And hello to our audience. My name is Luke. I'm also one of our producers. About a year ago or so, all of our lives were turned upside down, and we're just happy to be able to share tonight with you however we can as we continue to bring you incredible new music.
Now, before we get started, we're not going to shy away from asking for your support. A Little New Music is an all-volunteer effort, and it relies on your contributions. We have to give a little something back to our writers and our performers. So at any time, please scan the little QR code that you should see right up there, and we would be so happy to get your support monetarily as well. Thanks so much.
That's right. We also want to thank two organizations for their continued support, the ASCAP Foundation and New Musicals Incorporated.
Amazing. Now, since we are live tonight, we invite you, the audience sitting at home, to think of some questions, and don't be shy, but ask our guests tonight. You can type your questions in the live chat, and you never know, your question may be asked. So let's hear it.
So yeah, Keela, about those guests, let's bring them on. We're very excited to have with us tonight Janine McGuire and Ari Lawton-Simon. Janine and Ari are members of the BMI Advanced Musical Theater Workshop and Librettist Workshop, and alumni of the Dramatists Guild Foundation Fellowship and York Theater Neo program.
I love the York Theater. So these people sound legit. Their credits also include Borders, Express, and Kibby the Space Dog, which sounds amazing. I would love to hear a piece from that. I'm sure they'll mention it.
Let's welcome Janine and Ari to the show.
Hey, folks, take a bow.
Thanks for having us.
So your song appeared on A Little New Music stage 2 times. What compels you both to write the music? How do you make it happen?
Well, that's a really great question, and actually one that we don't answer outside of artist statements all that often. So it's what I think, for me, stripping it down to just the basics, for me, I think that music and musical theater is a great way to communicate ideas and to connect with people. I think, especially now, that's what we're, also hungry for these moments of connection. And I think we can still do that in putting musical theater songs out into the world, or in this case, over the internet. And on a personal level, I would say that when I think back to why I started doing this in the first place, I think about writing as a way of processing emotions within myself, and then finding ways to share them and find the universal emotions and share that with others.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, I think it's oftentimes it's really about a compulsion to tell a story or to explore something. A lot of times it's not fun, and you wonder why it is that you do it. In fact, I think we ask ourselves that question often, but the answer comes in the work. And when you're able to really crack something and make a difference with the art that you're creating, or to just entertain or to heal. And so that's why, because we have to.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, that's pretty outstanding. As Keela said, your songs have been on our stage twice over the years. So we're going to watch a couple highlights from them. But before we do that, could you give us just a little bit more context or background on each of the songs?
Yeah, absolutely. The first one is from our musical Express, which is an immersive musical that takes place entirely in the New York City subway, spanning across several different eras. And this one takes place in the 1964 segment, and it is one of our characters' plea for a more open-minded world.
Ooh, love a good period piece.
Yes.
We also love it when the song is done anytime in concert, because we feel that the sentiment is still really important for any time, including
contemporary. It's sort of a timeless sentiment. And the fun thing about Express is that you get many periods, a period piece with many periods.
That's right.
And then the second song is coming from our show Borders, which is an adaptation of a film that tells the story of an disillusioned Israeli soldier and a closeted Palestinian man, and their fated relationship with each other when they fall in love. And the song is one that the Israeli man recalls his mother singing to him as a child, and he begins to explore his feelings for Ashraf, the Palestinian man, by singing this song to him.
Outstanding. Well, let's hear it.
So many different players on this stage, different ages, different pages of a book still being written. We got different seats to sit in while we're traveling, but we're on the same track. The train is moving forward and we can't go back. Same sun, same air. We're all just trying to get somewhere as we journey from here to there on this crazy ride and travel side by side. Look around and you will see we're so alike, like family. There's so much that we share with one another. We all feel joy and all feel pain. We all see rainbows after rain. We're really not so different after all. Same sun, same air. We're all just trying to get somewhere as we journey from here to there on this crazy ride. We try
heartbeat starts to slow, and I forget the things I know. Still, I will love you. And if I should disappear, my darling, never fear. Still, I will love you. Leolam, Leolam, Leolam. I will love you till forever. Leolam, Leolam, Leolam. From today until forever. Leolam, Leolam, Leolam. I will love you till forever. Leolam, Leolam, Leolam. From today until forever. Leolam, Leolam, Leolam. I will love you till forever.
Oh, hey, we're back, folks. Welcome back. Those songs are amazing. I just couldn't get that melody out of my head. It's so catchy. And it was great to see Dee Dee Magno Hall singing that beautiful song. I saw her as Kim in Miss Saigon. And I think we saw a little glimpse of Chris Makish, a Little New Music co-founder. He was second on the left in the chorus there. So before we move on, we just want to remind our audience that this is live, and you're more than welcome to type in a question in the live chat. So, Janine and Ari, your musical Express is described as an immersive musical. Can you explain a little bit to our audience what that means if they're not familiar with immersive theater?
Yes, absolutely. So immersive theater is just as it sounds. You are immersed in the piece. So actually the original production of Express was both immersive and site-specific. It was written to take place in vintage subway cars that corresponded to the era in which the story was being told. So it actually was performed inside subway cars. And we realized the site-specific nature, of course, couldn't always happen, but it was really important to the intimacy of the show to keep it tight and to affect the feeling of the audience being on the train with the players in the story. So they are passengers on the train experiencing these people's lives as you would riding the subway. So things like the Great Comet, which started in a tent where the action takes place around the audience, things like that. Those are immersive shows.
That's awesome. So some people might say you're a dynamic duo. What do you find? I mean, I would certainly say that. What do you find works well in your collaborations?
Well, you know, it's been almost 8 years, so I'd say a lot of things I feel like work well between us. I mean, we really love working with one another. I mean, you know, we've sort of found our own rhythm over the years, but you know, we kicked it off, I think, with just, you know, at the very beginning, just a seed of wanting to just bring our absolute best, you know, to the room every morning when we met, and to do our best and show up as best we could. And I think over time that built a relationship of trust and, you know, allowing vulnerability and, you know, just it's a really intimate and special thing to just to share your creativity with someone else. So, you know, over time we've just sort of honed that a little bit. And I mean, one of the mantras that we say sometimes to each other, just as a personal team reminder, is nothing stupid, nothing sacred, which for us means that there's never anything that's too, you know, stupid to say out loud in front of the other person, because it might just spur on a great idea, and that, you know, we'll never laugh at each other for that. And then nothing sacred part of that is that, you know, there's never any idea that we would want to get too attached to, where if it wasn't serving the piece as a whole, we wouldn't be able to, you know, eliminate it. And so we're really not, we don't get hung up on, you know, who contributed what, you know, in the room. It's like, that's my idea, that's your idea. We don't, you know, argue in that way. And we write music, book, and lyrics all together as a team. So so there's a lot of just back and forth.
Yeah, and I think with you know, like you said, 8 years, it's not, there are all kinds of different collaborations. Ours specifically is like a collaborative marriage in a lot of ways, but like any relationship for any relationship to be successful, communication and kindness are key. And I think that we always operate from that. You know, it's like we accept that we love each other as artists and people, and everything that we create is beautiful, whether it's viable for what we're trying to, the story we're trying to tell is another question. And when the storytelling is paramount, which it always is for us, then whatever serves that best is what wins, and it's not about ego. So I think just keeping that our common goal is to tell the story we want to tell in the most effective way possible. Yeah.
Awesome.
Can you give us an example of this nothing stupid, nothing sacred approach that's been particularly meaningful in your collaboration?
Oh gosh, let's see. I mean, it comes up a lot. I mean, almost every song that I think that we start with, a lot of the time we'll start with trying to figure out just what the song is really and truly about, and we'll build a hook, or, you know, and we'll sometimes list like 20, 25 different ideas. And so some of those sometimes come out as they can be quite simplistic sometimes as you're going through it. But that's one of my favorite parts of the process sometimes, is to really just distill it down. So sometimes I think those ideas on the page, I can't think of a specific one right now, but I know we've had some like stupid placeholders, you know, over time, but then a lot of the time they'll eventually, you know, get you somewhere and just be a part of the process. I don't know, Aaron, any other examples?
No, absolutely. I mean, that happens all the time, where it's like, you say the thing, and oftentimes it's just really, it's the right idea, but it's just pedantic. And so it's like trying to find what's the lyrical way of doing that. What's the thing we actually want to say. But I'd say on the nothing sacred part, which I actually think might be a little bit more of even the secret sauce for us, is that it's like, it's hard to kill your babies. And when you work and put your heart and soul into these things, when you're creating these ideas that are a representation of your heart and soul, and then to say no to one of them after you've spent a lot of time with it can be really difficult. But I think a couple of our most successful pieces, one in particular I'm thinking of early on, we had fought for weeks and weeks and weeks, fought the piece, not each other, to crack it, to get it to work. And we were 24 hours out from presenting it in class, and it was just not the tea. And we like scrapped like 70% of it and just like completely just rearranged, rewrote, got rid of a whole musical section, all these lyrics, whatever. And we took it in to class the next day, and it was just like maybe the most successful thing we've ever done. But it would not have happened if we weren't able to say, you know what, this just doesn't work. Bye.
Yeah.
we love cutting things now. It's like a slasher film.
Nothing stupid, nothing sacred. So Nico Juber asks, or actually says, my kids want to hear more about Kibby the Space Dog. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We a few years ago, we got the opportunity to write a commissioned piece that is based on a children's picture book of the same name, and premiere it at Wichita Children's Theater and Dance Center, Wichita being Ari's hometown, and a theater that he had a lot of personal ties to. And so we wrote the songs in collaboration with book writers who wrote the script adapted from that original book. And Ari, do you want to talk more about it?
Yeah, so it's you know, the story is about a Labradoodle who's like the most popular dog in the neighborhood until the day he gets a cone on his head because of ouchie. And then people start to treat him differently because he looks different, and he has to kind of navigate that and then come back to, you know, the true essence of what makes people beautiful and all of that. But our Kibby decided to be a cool dude with like a Motown flair. So it's like a very like Motown disco kind of score, and it's just a lot of fun. All the songs are bops. So yeah, I think we were reticent for a long time to dive into writing children's theater because we didn't want to be pigeonholed as children's theater writers. And it's like, the TYA stuff can be so fantastic, and we had the most fun.
So much fun. That was really, I think, like not over analyzing and getting in our heads too much, but really just like feeling like what the song wanted to be, and just, you know, putting down stuff that felt really great. So we would do it again in a heartbeat.
Thank you so much for writing musicals geared towards our youth, because it makes it accessible, it makes the kids excited, and, you know, really kind of relate to it. Can you just give us maybe one or two of the titles that would be bops?
Yes, there's Dogs in Space, which is just it's a disco jam. Like it is a hard, like 4-minute disco jam. And I'm a happy dog. You know, and there's some reprises and things that happen, and not. I mean, it's a short show, but yeah. So there are bops and tearjerkers. Let's say.
Love it.
Oh wow. Actually, I'm gonna actually we hold off on additional audience questions until we go to hear this next song, because our mission at A Little New Music is to keep bringing new and unheard musical theater to our audience, and we'll have more time for audience questions after this. But before we get to that, we're excited to see something now that you wrote quite recently. So maybe you could tell us just a little more about this song and help set it up for us.
Sure, absolutely. This is one of the most recent songs that we wrote for our musical Borders, which Ari talked a little bit about before, based on the 2006 film The Bubble. And this is an Act 2 song for the sister of one of the two men at the heart of the story. And when she learns, who he's been in a relationship with, she really struggles with the fact that this is that he's in a relationship with a man, and an Israeli man at that. And it is difficult, in this close relationship between brother and sister. But on her own wedding day, she begins to just think about what acceptance might look like, just sort of crack that open a little bit. And so this is a very new song for us. This is the first time anyone on the internet has heard it. We had the wonderful Sahar Milani lay down this video track for us, and we're excited to share it because really no one has heard this yet, and we're just we want to put it out there and see how it is.
A world premiere, folks. You saw it right here. A Little New Music Spotlight Series. Let's listen.
If you really love him, what else can I say? Not a thing that I could do would make you feel another way. If you really love him, if you truly do, then I understand your feelings, 'cause I have felt them too. It's nothing you can plan, and it's nothing you can hide. You simply can't deny the spark of joy you feel inside. And some won't understand it or accept the way you feel, but there's nothing you can do if your love for him is real. So if you really love him, and it's clear you do, then I'll learn to love him also. For I love you.
Wow, simple and beautiful.
Janine and Ari, we've been doing this a while. We've been doing this a lot. I mean, as long as you've been working together, apparently 8 years, as Keela said at the top of the show. And we've gone through thousands of songs that we've had submitted to us to see about what we could put up on our stage. And every so often there's a song that just sort of is this sweet, sweet, special moment in time that just drills its way directly into your heart and doesn't leave. And that's the first time I've seen that song, and it's going to last. It's going to live with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We're huge fans of so many of the greats, but Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein II are big idols of ours, of course. But one of the things that we love so much about Hammerstein's lyrics is their economy. And you think some of the best songs, like A Cockeyed Optimist, like, you know everything you need to know about Nelly in 1 minute.
Yeah.
And so we appreciate that and trying to do that, and we appreciate you picking up on that.
And clearly, we are not alone. Our audience is having all kinds of responses to this, and we invite them to ask questions. We will be asking your questions shortly. Before we get to that, one question I have for you is, how do the people in your lives and or your life experiences shape the music that you put on a page to get performed?
Wow, I guess
I mean, they definitely do. It's gosh, I feel like there's a lot of our heart and soul in everything that we do, no matter what the story is, no matter where it's set, no matter, who's in it. I think I mean, 3 of the songs that actually we presented here are clearly like more, pretty tapped into emotions. So, we're not afraid to go there, like with each other in our process. And then, as we as we write together and do this, I'd say, gosh, I mean, there is a lot of us in this, but I think one of the fun things about writing musical theater in particular is that things don't need to be autobiographical, that you can just really empathize with characters and get to take on all these different, types of stories and things. And so, I don't know. I would say there's a lot of us personally in our material, but that we love, writing about all kinds of topics. I think that, we also idolize Ahrens and Flaherty, and like the sort of the scope of works that they've done over the course of their entire career. That's the kind of thing we aspire to, of like how many kind of different kinds of shows might we do, like, over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. What Janine said. And then I would just say that it's we're all sums of our experiences, our lived experiences. And, the more of those we have and the more of them we can share with other people, the richer they get. And so I think it's bringing your entire self to the process. So it's like, not even in a contemporary sense, but just to think even background wise for me and Janine, like we are products of our upbringings and the first shows that we saw. And, my dad, coming from the Black American music tradition, like gospel and Motown and soul, and my mom coming from singer-songwriters, just like Joni Mitchell and Laura Nyro and stuff. And then growing up playing in orchestras, and it's like, you bring all of that to it. So it's your toolbox. And then again, whatever tells the story the most effectively and the most empathically, I think, is what ends up being the tool that comes to the fore.
Nice.
Thank you so much for sharing yourselves. It's very profound, and it means a lot to us to have you here. So how did you meet, and what was your very first interaction?
Well, you mentioned before that we are part of the BMI Musical Theater Workshop, and that is in fact where we met. For anyone who doesn't know, that's in New York. It's a high-level training program for musical theater writing. And on the first day of the first session of our first year, we found each other paired up for the very first assignment. So our first interaction with each other was just kind of like, looking on the sheet. We're like, you're Ari, okay, and just thinking back to that day, I was really excited to collaborate with someone, and I hadn't done a whole lot of music and lyric collaboration up to that point. So I was really anxious to see how it would go. And I just remember really liking Ari right off the bat, and also feeling that, I felt at the time, I mean, we were both young then, we were both under 30, but I remember just thinking, oh, he's this young guy from Kansas. I wonder what this will be like, because, I didn't know like what right collaborator would be out there for me. And, perhaps that was not exactly the person I was imagining, but then we had this, this really fun first collaboration.
Yeah, I was really nervous. I'm a Taurus and an actor, so I'm good at hiding that, but I had like major imposter syndrome, and Janine was like, this New York, she lived in New York forever. She went to Columbia, like she'd been in the city a decade already. She had like this amazing, like blue velvet, like Jonathan Larson-esque, like Rent style coat and an ombre hair, and was just like just the right amount of jaded. And I was like, oh my God, she's way too cool for me. I don't even know. And then we just like had the best time working together.
There's a little bit of
more jaded
happening, a little judging happening on both sides.
Yeah, no,
there's trepidation. It's like who you're because you're letting somebody into your heart, and it's like you're in this room with 40 people that you don't know, and it's like, now go do the most intimate thing next to sex you can possibly do, so let's just get in somebody's heart.
It's so funny that you say that about the jaded thing too, because it's like I actually feel like I'm far less jaded now.
Absolutely.
And I think I would say you too. It's like all that kind of those fear and that those walls that I think that a lot of us, put up in those early moments, like come down later. And it feels so good to have them come down. It feels so good to just, just entering the workshop, not knowing like what it may bring, like was a scary thing. But like for us and for a lot of our friends and peers, it brought such joy and such community and just like a step closer to our calling. So it's just been, the last 8 years have been wonderful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I know we have a few questions here from our audience. Drew keeps wanting to ask his question, so we're finally going to ask it. And it seems like it's a bit of an insider question, but hopefully y'all can elucidate for our audience who may or may not know what he's referring to. But what was your Blanche song at BMI?
So there are assignments in the songwriting workshop. The initial songwriting workshop of BMI is a 2-year program. The first year of which you work with a different collaborator every assignment, and you learn the basic tenets of craft for a character establishment song, a comedy song, a book song, etc. And so there are certain assignments that have been around since the inception of the workshop, and now with the necessary wokeness of the industry, things are shifting and some of those are going away. But the Blanche song is staying because it is because every single person who has come through BMI has written a Blanche song. So it's kind of like this common ground thing. And that is Blanche from Streetcar, named Desire. And so there are 3 places in the script that you can choose from to write a song for Blanche in that moment. And so actually Janine and I were not together for this assignment. I was writing with a wonderful lyricist named Deepali Gupta. We wrote a song called From Where I Stand. It's very dramatic, written for a contralto, and really heady and fun. And Janine, what was yours?
Mine, I wrote with a composer named David Shenton. And I don't like to revisit it that much. It was not a very creative take on it. It was one of my least favorite kind of outings of the year. Although, every single one taught us something. I actually really enjoyed the ones that I got a little stuck on. That was one that I didn't feel I like nailed that assignment, but I remember really liking your song, Ari. At that point too, when we were all collaborating in these different pairings, it was really cool to just get to know each other's voices. I think that was a lot of the way that a lot of the way we decided like who we wanted to work with going forward, because it was not only the collaboration that you had with the person, but then also kind of checking out what they were doing all year with other people.
Absolutely. Yeah. When people were consistently successful, it was like, aha, I see.
Yeah.
Eric Cornwall asks, if you do music, lyrics, and book together, how do you work out what's song and what's a scene?
Also, really good question. I mean, we're in the process of doing that right now with a lot of the shows that we're still working on. I mean, the beauty of, I guess, at least being in the trenches on all of those things together is that we explore those things and discover those things together. So it's not as if we're a separate book writer and a separate lyricist, like kind of like fighting for turf, fighting for like a juicy moment or anything like that. I think that we when we're working on the text stuff, book or lyrics, we're often in Google Docs, whether we're in the same room or like we used to be all the time in normal times, or if we're working remotely. So we're in a Google Doc looking at it in real time. And a lot of the times we'll just type things, say things, improvise back and forth. We'll really just kind of be in the moment together. And Ari, do you want to speak to like just how we place songs?
Yeah. So I think it's there are a lot of theories for like when a character should sing, and actually there's a very interesting article circulating right now that pushes back on one of those kind of big things that's been accepted for a long time, but that's for another day. But I think that it's really songs are explosions of moments, right? And it's strange because they can either compress time. Like we have a song in Borders that's an entire restaurant shift in 6 minutes, or it can be that moment that you wake up and realize that you might have like met the love of your life last night, and that's a big deal, and like that feeling, and it's just that feeling expanded over 2.5 minutes. But it's like the things that feel like they warrant exploration, the tent poles. And I think what's amazing about the book musical format, is that most of the songs, like if there is a song, we should end up somewhere else by the end, like transformative wise. So, and some things are more interesting in scene work, and you just try them. You try, and some information feels like too much exposition when it's in text. But if you turn that 3 pages of text into a song, all of a sudden it clicks and feels necessary.
Nice.
Amazing. I love that idea that song is an explosion of thoughts or ideas. It's that the character has no choice but to start singing. So great. Oh, our friend Kion Hersey has a question. What has collaborating been like virtually? How has it changed your creative relationship?
Well, some things have stayed the same, and some things have been challenging. I mean, we're really, as you can probably tell, we're a pair who really likes to be in the same room together. I get a lot from just that creative energy from just sort of being together, and and just kind of sharing space, and just having that sort of visceral thing that happens when you're making music together in a room. But so we mostly, work over FaceTime now. And I think like there's our sessions together are the same length on the same schedule that we always have done them. So like that stayed consistent. We've always kept a set schedule so that we, just show up and stay accountable to each other and to the work. And they kind of like run like the structure that it used to be, just like catching up for a little bit, talking about our lives, talking about our like horoscope for the day, whatever is sort of top of mind, and then getting into the work and our process as usual. So in some ways, I would say it's actually not that different right now, but it just I think that I'll say for myself. I mean, I'm really looking forward to just the sort of energy exchange that happens when you are in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, I've said often, I think it would be very different, and at least for a collaboration or relationship like Janine and I have at this point, having had 7 years under our belt when the pandemic hit, we were able to just use our inertia and kind of drive to continue. But I do think it could be hard to start something new right now because of that. But yeah, I think it's just the showing up. Showing up to do the work all the time, and we love doing it. I mean, it's like even today we were like, should we just do a quick phone check-in, just like check some things off the list, or see what our schedule should be, and then we were on the phone for over an hour and a half. So it's like can't get enough of each other.
Amazing. I love it.
Anna Jacobs. Hello, Anna. Good to see you. She says the song you shared was so beautiful and the singing was amazing. Wondering if there are any particular types of vocalists for whom you like to write.
Well, I mean, I want to let Ari take that question because he's the one who comes from a professional singing background himself. I'd say for me, I love the gamut of musical theater and not actors and singers, and I think it's really exciting to write for a lot of different kinds of voices. I kind of came from the like rock and pop sort of loving side of musical theater at the beginning, so that always kind of gets my heart a little bit, like when someone is able to do that like as part of the many things in their toolbox. But Ari's opened me up to a lot of other ways of thinking about the voice and a lot of other kinds of vocal writing. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's like I always, a big thing that I say is that music theater is a medium, not a genre, right? And so like it's a method of storytelling that allows you to explore a lot of different genres. And like singing, like technique is not style and style is not technique, right? So I think that there's a lot of viable ways of singing. So as a vocal technician, as a voice teacher and a singer, I like to write for well, I like to write things that are healthy. Like like to write things that are healthily singable, but to write for singers who take care of their voices. And because I've been singing my entire life, that's like my jam. We tend to write musically challenging things. So I mean, musically, like good musicians, singers that are excellent musicians. I think, you know, excellent actors and musicians. So that's definitely, yeah. I would say like writing for healthily singing actors. That's a big one. But I also say that, like, Janine, one thing that you always say that I love is that like the thing that matters kind of the most to her with the singer is the like tone of voice, just like what the actual like the sound, and it's like just like any instrument, you know, and it's like if there's somebody has a really beautiful sound or a really unique approach, it's fun to write for that as well and to explore the strengths within their instruments. Though for another time, writing for specific singers and roles can be detrimental to your show, but that's another thing.
Yeah, that's another show, I think.
We'll come back.
We'll come back to that.
So now we have a couple more questions to ask every Spotlight series writer that we have on here. I don't know if you're familiar with the show Inside the Actor's Studio, but that show has been discontinued, and we're just picking up right where they left off. So, Janine and Ari, are you ready for your Spotlight?
Ready.
Sure. So, what was the first musical each of you saw?
Okay, for me, my parents took me on Christmas Day, 1993, to my first Broadway musical, which was The Who's Tommy. And that was, I thank my parents very much for that. It was a great choice. Rock show, stayed with me, left an indelible mark for sure.
Yeah, I remember the thing that imprinted on me the most was seeing the film version of West Side Story when I was 6 years old. My aunt told me my cousins were watching it in the next room when I showed up, and I said that sounded boring, and she said, just go check it out. And then I was watching along after my cousins had left the room, and I was like, yes, this thing for me.
Are you so excited to see the film version?
The new one?
Mm-hmm.
I have, yes, I am. I've accepted that it can't do anything to change the original, and it's going to be its own thing. And also I went to high school with the person playing Anybody's. So I'm super excited for that there. I mean, Ezra Minas, amazing. But also in Jagged Little Pill, fantastic actor.
Awesome. So our second of our three questions, who would you drop everything to go see perform live, and whether they're with us or no longer with us?
All right. Well, the person who I have historically actually dropped everything to go see live has been Elton John, who I love to see in concert. I just love his music, his musicianship, his band, the whole thing. If I could time travel a little, I think I'd be a little tempted by some more rock and roll. I think I'd maybe go back to like Ziggy Stardust era Bowie, perhaps, or, you know, I don't know. The time traveling is very interesting. I'd go a lot of places probably if I could.
Nice.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people I'd love to see now. I mean, I would, if I had the money to, I would love to be like front row for Beyonce. But as far as time traveling goes, like I want to hear Ethel Merman live. Like I want to have that brass cut through my soul in the back row of the balcony with no microphone. I just want it. Like I want it so hard.
She was a moment in time.
Yeah.
So who would play you in the musical version of your lives?
Okay. Well, for me, sometimes I'm told I like look like different movie stars and stuff, but I'm going to go with a bona fide musical theater person because, as Ari was saying before, tone is important. Great singing is important. I will choose the Broadway actor Desi Oakley. who most recently played Jenna in the national tour of Waitress. And she's someone who Ari and I actually know and have worked with. And I just, her tone for me is just chef's kiss. And I would be honored if she portrayed a fellow brunette like me.
Yeah, and I would say I would be very honored to be portrayed by Daveed Diggs because he's uber talented and uber sexy. So
there you have it. We want to thank both of you, Janine and Ari, for being with us tonight. Before we go, is there anything you want to say about sort of what you're working on next? Share with our audience, give them a little sneak peek.
Well, one thing that we have been doing since this long theater intermission has been putting out our own content on the internet. So you can find it at McGuire and Simon across most platforms. We do a show called Third Thursdays, or hashtag Third Thursdays, where we interview guests and present new music and sometimes host salons of new musical theater songs and stuff. So that's one of the projects that's kept us busy. In addition, we're working on our musicals, as we mentioned, just keeping our normal schedule and working on those as well.
Yeah, that's it. Just check out our socials and things for the stuff. We have lots of content coming out all the time. So
yeah.
Excellent. I believe we dropped the various links to your social media in our chat room. So folks, check them out. Third Thursdays.
And you can watch Janine and Ari's songs and many other of our songs that have been performed on A Little New Music stage. Just go to our YouTube page. That is youtube.com/alittlenewmusic. And you can search for A Little Mick G and S music.
A Little Mick G ampersand S, I believe is what it is.
Yep. It's A Little New Mick G and S.
A Little New Mick G and S. And you can see those two songs we gave you some snippets from to start the show in their entirety. Please also support A Little New Music using the QR code that's up on the screen there on the upper left-hand corner. Your contributions will help us to compensate our Spotlight Series performers and writers, including Janine and Ari. Just really appreciate your being here. And also we'll be providing contribution to Sahar. So your contributions to us go directly to our performers and our writers.
We also want to give a shout out to the team working behind the curtain tonight that have helped make this night so possible. Here is our Spotlight Series executive producer, Amy Francis Schott. Come on, Amy.
Hi, y'all. It's been such a great night and so many good questions, and lovely to see so many writers asking questions. I just love all this. So the next show is not going to be in 2 weeks. It's going to be in 3 weeks because March has 5 Tuesdays. So on March the 23rd, we're going to be back with Rosser and Sohn, who have been on our stage a few times.
We love them.
Writers and human beings. So I'm very excited and looking forward to that. And I wanted to say thank you to Ryan Baldwin, who is our StreamYard guru. He's taught me everything I know, maybe not everything he knows. And Travis, who has been in the chat with you guys all night, giving you all the useful links and all that help. So it takes a village. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, team. And also, as ever, we want to thank Peter Welkin and Chris Makish for their steadfast support.
And we want to again acknowledge the ASCAP Foundation and New Musicals Incorporated for their support of our work.
Thank you, Janine. Thank you, Ari, for joining us tonight.
Oh, don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, and
have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.